There's other football news. It's certainly been a big story today. The quarterback at Texas Tech, who has been under a lot of discussion because he admitted he was placing bets while a player and on his team and on other things going on with sports and college sports, and flat out admitted he was doing that. And what was it, like 9,000 bets that he placed? And there was an injunction today in a court in Texas that said, we're going to give him an opportunity to play. This will just doesn't mean that he's been approved necessarily, but while this gets discussed and settled in the court of law, we can't prevent him from playing. And the way that the time frame works for all this is he's basically going to have a full season to play unless something else happens. But right now, Jason, it's looking like Sorsby is going to be the starting quarterback for Texas Tech.
Yeah, it is. And it's a bunch of bull crap is what all this is. And people have been talking about it all day. People have been sounding off. We are far from the first people to be commenting on this, but it's just such a monumentally stupid decision that everyone just assumed that, especially once there was the first judge who recused himself because he was a Texas Tech either graduate or donor or maybe both, but he saw, look, I'd be biased in this case, so I'm going to recuse myself. And I thought, finally, we have some logic being used in the courtroom here.
Some adults are actually standing up and doing what's right.
So some guy recognizing that he needs to kind of step away and remove his conflict of interest. But then you get another judge who's from 4 hours away from Lubbock. So maybe far enough, you still got to take care of these things local. Like there's a reason you don't need to explain the whole legal process. But essentially, you move to a different judge, but then that judge makes the same stupid decision we were all assuming that the Texas Tech graduate judge was going to do. Just give Sorsby the injunction just because, he would feel really sad if he didn't get the injunction. And the argument was basically he would suffer permanent harm. And as other people have said, I think it was Dennis Dodd, somebody running a column basically said, yeah, that's the point.
Right. There are consequences. Yeah. And these consequences have to have teeth.
Yeah. And it's why I still just do a complete facepalm every time I go back and remember that Brendan Sorsby, like in his public statements, has said, I accept responsibility for what I've done. No, you haven't.
No, you haven't.
You have not accepted responsibility.
Not if you're still trying to play.
Yeah, you have dodged the responsibility for your actions. You sat in, and all these seminars and education things they do for the athletes that say, don't gamble. You sat there, and apparently you were on TikTok or whatever, looking at your phone, doing anything but listening, because otherwise the excuse is that you looked at that, saw in black and white, you do not gamble on any NCAA events, let alone your own games. And if you do, these are the consequences. And you saw those, you signed on the dotted line, you attended the seminars and all those things, still did it. But then we're like, but if you enforce those rules, it will hurt me. Therefore, I should be allowed to play because otherwise facing the consequences of my own actions would be detrimental to my bank account. And that's what we're having with Brendan Sorsby. And a judge listened to that and said, oh yeah, I get it.
Let's kick this down the road. Let him give another year of being able to play.
Can I go over to Cache Valley Bank, rob them, and say, but if you throw me in jail, that will negatively affect me, Judge. You can't put me in jail.
Don't do that.
I still have to do things. You should just let me off because enacting the consequences of my decisions might have a negative impact.
Heaven forbid. So where's this going to go? I mean, he's going to play quarterback for Texas Tech. He's going to go out there on one of the first series and say they turn it over on downs, or they go through 3 downs, they go to a 4th down, and he says, no, I want to keep playing. I'm going to feel bad if I have to leave the field. Let's give me a 5th down. I need a 6th down. I need to keep going. You intercepted the ball? Well, give it back.
Yeah, the rules are detrimental to me playing football.
Yeah, where does this
therefore,
end?
give me the ball back.
I mean, do we have rules or do we not? Do we have consequences or don't we? So it's absolutely patently ridiculous what has happened here. And it has now sent shockwaves all over, and athletic directors throughout the Big 12 and other institutions and coaches at different levels are universally expressing outrage. And there's an interesting column out today. It's Ross Dellinger, who does a great job on Yahoo Sports, and saying there are a number of administrators in the Pac-12, or excuse me, in the Big 12, who are actively thinking about boycotting Texas Tech. Like, we will not play you, and not just in football, in other sports as well. Like, we have to send a message here that this just isn't right. How can we let this stand? If a judge won't do anything, we have to take it upon ourselves to do something.
Yeah, we essentially need a form of street justice here.
Yeah.
We need teams to essentially stop, like, anyone who's negotiating future contracts for non-conference games against Texas Tech. Stop. Don't do it. And the Big 12, honestly, the Big 12 could be the heroes of the moment, because they could try and come in and say, look, Texas Tech, if you do this, then we're going to lay down these punishments, this, and that. The NCAA needs to start, I don't know what restrictions on, like, because the injunction is they can't stop Brendan Sorsby, but they can be like, all right, we're going to lay down the law in Texas Tech.
And we will vacate any win that you may get.
Yeah.
There's going to be loss of scholarships.
Yeah,
they need to do something. Now, they've tried to do something, and this judge has, decided to let this still go. But really, the Big 12 may be one of the last institutions to actually do something to stop this.
Yeah, so something really needs to be done. And I wish, we had the same energy about this than we do for things that matter, like, players will commit crimes, but then we kind of let them back in and then they commit more crimes. And it's like, wish we had the same energy for some stuff like that as opposed to something like gambling. But still, we are talking about something that can have a actual detriment on the sport, where, like, there are going to be athletes now who see this and be like, hey, look, it's my junior year. I'm going to get one more year after this. I can just gamble and then be like, well, I can do whatever I want, and then I'll get my senior year, and the NCAA can't do anything about it.
Well, in an ESPN story on this, a coach who did not want to be named said, well, the lesson I'm learning from this is that I need to have somebody from Las Vegas come in and do a seminar with my players about how to gamble. And if we're going to do this, let's make sure we're doing it right. Let's all make money off of this. If this is all this is about, and you don't get into any trouble, let's make sure we're maximizing the information and intel that we have.
Yeah.
Now, granted, that's tongue-in-cheek and sarcastic. It's hyperbole. But it does illustrate that this is a problem. If we're not going to take this serious, then where does it end? And we're going to get to fixing games if it's already allegations of that happening in some sports. In fact, there were a couple of basketball players that just got the hammer dropped on them this past weekend. Yeah,
and what happens like to those athletes? They then sue and say, look, this other guy bet on his own games, and he got to play college sports. So you can have players who, again, this is why we were all talking about Brendan Sorsby and, like, saying his arguments were ridiculous, because he literally has no argument to be able to play college sports. But he did all puppy dog eyes in front of a judge and said, oh, I'm really sorry about all this. Please let me play. When, and he thinks that it's one player and it's just one season, and it's just make an exception for me, please, just so that I can make millions of dollars. And, we talk about college sports being a place where you can learn about the real world. And I guess what we're learning about the real world is that if you have enough money behind you, you can do anything.
Yeah.
And that it doesn't matter. You can do things that are legitimately wrong, and you can break the rules. But that so long as you have the right backers behind you, so long as you have the opportunity to make money and may or may not be able to bribe a judge,
and Cody Campbell,
then you get to do whatever you get.
He's a super booster for Texas Tech. He's like, hey, this means I'm going to pay him $5 million in NIL money. Now he's cleared to play.
Yeah.
And we're happy to have him. It's like, We have no morals. Interesting comments from Georgia Athletic Director Josh Brooks. So this isn't just in the Big 12 where people are expressing outrage and frustration. I mean, this is coming from somebody in the SEC. He's also a member of the NCAA Football Oversight Committee. And he told Yahoo Sports, I think there needs to be serious conversations about not playing Texas Tech in any sports. This is not about Texas Tech. It's about protecting our own locker room. We cannot, in good conscience, put our student athletes on a field where the competitive integrity of the contest is compromised and overridden by the courts. If a state court wants to dictate eligibility rules, they can play themselves. All FBS schools should only take the field against programs operating under a uniform, trustworthy standard of fairness. We've officially reached the point of no return.
Yeah, this is why I say that there needs to be some street justice. And honestly, street justice, and also start playing dirty.
Well, what's interesting, and I know we got to take a break here, but what drives us a little bit closer to home is Utah and BYU, neither one of them play Texas Tech this season in football. But there is a Pac-12 school who plays Texas Tech, and it's early in the season. The Raiders are actually going to be in Corvallis to take on Oregon State on September 12th. And Sorsby, now there could be some
Sorsby's not going to be playing in that game though, because part of this whole ridiculous thing is that you can't stop Brendan Sorsby from playing, but you know what? The judge said we're gonna suspend him anyway, and this is where you feel like it makes you feel like I don't want to accuse anybody of anything, but it makes you feel like there was corruption here, because you can't stop Brendan Sorsby from playing, but included in the injunction is a 2-game suspension.
Yeah, the judge won't let him play against Abilene Christian or at Oregon State,
which is what Brendan Sorsby's legal team was saying. Hey, look, this should be the suspension. This is a perfectly meet punishment, and the judge just ate it up instead of just letting him play. Like, if the NCAA can't stop him from playing, don't do any suspension. Just say, look, we're just going to let him play, and we'll figure out something later. But he said, I'm going to impose my own suspension. And somehow 2 games is fitting.